Hawk's intentions are irrelevant. Hawk being a nice guy, irrelevant. Hawk loving her, irrelevant. Hello. Hi. Welcome to the second vlog. We're now reading book 2 in the From Blood and Ash series. I am about 13 chapters in. Nothing has happened. They're still in the keep. And all that has happened is our homegirl, Poppy, has agreed to marry Cass. That's it. He's explained his plan, and that's it. I don't know why we needed 13 chapters for that. I mean, like, you're getting to know each other a little bit. He explained why he was tortured and other things like that. So it's not like literally nothing has happened, but like nothing has happened. We're over a third of the way in. No, yeah, we're just past the third of the way in, and nothing has happened. So far, it's giving us nothing. Hi, good morning. I am losing it a little bit. I was going to film this last night, but I was just like, I probably would have just been yelling at the camera. Okay, we are more than halfway through this book. Nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. We're still on our journey to Atlantia. And I'm just putting this down. I'm just getting annoyed because our Poppy, listen, she is obtuse, okay? And the first book, there was some of that. I was just kind of letting it go because, you know, it's moving the plot a little bit, but also like she's kind of sheltered and there's a point to that. But now she's been with Castile Hawk for like weeks. He has repeatedly shown her that he cares about her. He's even like said it, and he's even alluded to it in ways that like you would have to be obtuse in order to not get it. Like, he's telling her and he's showing her. And she's just like, now they're at like the end. What is it called? Like something end, Steel's End. So they're almost about to cross into Atlantia. And she's only now realizing that he might care for her. We're only getting that far. People are saying, homie, he likes you. He cares for you. You're special to him. And like they're telling her stuff like he can't drink or he's not drinking the blood of other people. And she's still like, I think he likes me. Like, you are dumb at this point. You are. And their banter, it's not witty anymore. They're saying, I mean, it was like never all that witty, but they're saying the same shit over and over again. You're so violent. It turns me on. Like, I want to stab you. I'd be surprised if you weren't trying to hurt. Like, you can only say the same shit so many times. It's like getting really old at this point. And the last thing, he keeps like making sexual advances to her and she keeps like being surprised about it. Why are we surprised? And it's always as well like him making sexual advances to her and then her like accepting it. I'm not saying that it's like SAE at all. But where is the reciprocation? It's like stuff is just being done to her. And I think most questionable, okay, there's 2 more questionable things that have me kind of just like, what? So there was a point where our homeboy Cass was like, I don't know, he was like kind of feral. I don't quite know the word because he hasn't had blood. And he like kind of like attacked her and he was doing sexual things to her. But like she wanted it. Maybe like I'm not necessarily like trying to like shame somebody's kink, but first of all, this is fiction. And like these people, it's not just these people aren't real, but the circumstance could not be real even in real life. So it doesn't quite feel like kink shaming, but if it is, like, let me know. So he's not in his right mind. Like, he is ill. She's fully interested in him doing sexual things to her in that state. The author, I feel like, was trying to appease the audience to make it clear to them that it wasn't rapey because that she was followed up with by Kieran and then I think also Cass. They were like, oh, did he hurt you? Did he like force himself on you? And she was like, no, 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 I wanted it. That's very questionable to me. And then also questionable. Remember how if you watch the first book, then like you hopefully remember this conversation when I was talking about how there was, in my opinion, a lack of consent in the first sexual encounters between Hawk and Poppy. They talk about it in this book. Or they kind of get close to the topic. Okay, what I'm trying to say is he has no remorse for what he did because he doesn't see what he's done as wrong. And I don't think the author does as well. I think the author is trying to make him appear sympathetic because he's saying, like, I would never force you. I would never do this. Like, your well being comes first. I care about you. And there is like no acknowledgement by anybody that there was a lack of consent the first time they were together. And the author is just like saying, no, it's okay. And like, it was always fine. And like, Cass is like a thoughtful man. And like, while he's done bad things, he would never do something bad to a woman, especially not Poppy. Either the author has clearly no idea that there's a consent issue, or she's trying to, I don't know, like sweep it under the rug by implying that there was no consent issue because of who Hawk is and his intentions. Hawk's intentions are irrelevant. Hawk being a nice guy, irrelevant. Hawk loving her, irrelevant. This book is now, the first book, I'm thinking maybe 3 stars. This book is now verging on 2 stars because we have annoying ass tropes. Like, Poppy's supposed to be this thoughtful woman, this intelligent woman. And you can be thoughtful and intelligent when you're 18. It's also okay for 18-year-old women to be stupid and to have, have a lack judgment, yeah, in moments of their lives. All of these things can be true, but you have to be intentionally obtuse in order to like miss stuff right in front of your face. And it has nothing to do with the lack of experience. She's like intentionally denying things that are like in front of her, like obvious overt signs. And it's not even signs. He's telling her to her face. And she's like, no, it can't be true. It's really annoying to me, like that particular trope in fantasy where like women are portrayed as like dumb. They can't understand that like a man loves them or a person loves them. And it's like not a reciprocal relationship either. It's like one way love. And I don't like it. I'm going to finish it. I'm hoping that there's more redeeming qualities of this book. But these characters are starting to annoy the hell out of me. And if Poppy, if Poppy is truly this intelligent woman that they're saying that she is, and I believe that she is, why are we making such unintelligent choices? Yeah, choices, but also, sure, it's a book. Like, it's a book. But when we have relationship after relationship, or like we have tropes and norms that are presented in ways that like normalize and naturalize behavior that happens in society, that bothers me. We did it. We finished the book. I was pissed finishing the first book. And now I'm just like a little confused. I'm somebody who I've read mediocre series to the end. I finished Throne of Glass. What is that series? Like 7 books. I wasn't enjoying the reading experience. It was like, okay. I gave like all the books 3 stars. I think I really like wanted I have to find out how many books there are. Yeah, there's 7 books. I've read 7 books in that series and they were all like 3 stars. Wasn't loving it. I am now contemplating not continuing this series because right now I just like don't care. The second book is such an injustice to like what could be a good plot. I stand by my opinion that this whole like ascendant, like Atlantean plotline, or like the politics of it all is fundamentally interesting. And I'm sure because there's at least another book that there's like more to unfold. They are gonna go get Malik back. Like they're obviously gonna make an attempt. The Duchess has said her homegirl Poppy is like descendant of the queen. Like so there's more at play that like is politically going to unfold. The second book was like boring as hell. That book was like 650 pages. It should have been like 300. I don't know why we wasted like 200 pages of them doing jack shit in that New Haven or whatever. Like, I'm so mad that I read all of that. Of course, I wanted to read the first couple of chapters to like understand this whole marriage plot, but like, there was like nothing. Like, I don't need to see them having more sex and then also having like more verbal quips. Like we're doing the exact same back and forth as we've been doing all of this time. It's not new. We're like recycling the same material. They're literally talking about nothing. It only like gets interesting once they made it to Spess's end. I know I couldn't remember the name when I was talking last time. There was the attack. That was interesting. Then they have sex in a carriage. Questionable choices. And then they, like make it to Atlantia. And then I always just want to call it Atlanta. Can we just call it Atlanta? They make it to Atlanta. And then there's like that the Wolfen, the young one. His name reminds me of a hockey player. Like, what's his name? Hold on. Bennett? Honestly, sounds like a hockey pro's name. I'm sorry. So Bennett apparently like sets her up to like what, be mauled. That needs to be addressed. And then like the skies open up and then they're like, oh, you are the rightful heir to the throne. The only interesting thing about this book is like the first 20 pages and then like the last 150, maybe 200 pages. We don't need anything else. Just like a waste. Yeah, the second book, it's like just shocking to me that like this was the choice. 600 pages of what? Of what? I don't get it. So now I'm like, the plot's gonna be interesting again. Do I read it? I don't know. Probably nothing soon. Okay, here's the thing about the Cass and Poppy situation. I feel like I have to say this. I was recommended this book because I am an ACOTAR girly. And because I think I was also recommended this because of Cruel Prince and then Kingdom of the Wicked, or whatever that series is by Carrie Maniscalco. This book reminds me more of Throne of Glass than ACOTAR, that series. And Throne of Glass is just like the weaker of the two series. The reason why, in my opinion, ACOTAR works, and this is a spoiler if you've never read it, so like, sorry. The whole Rice and Farah thing is because, the reason why that works is because it unfolds over like a 350, maybe 400 page book. I think that's how long it is. It's not the whole thing. It's like, they're like together-ish, or like, okay, maybe near the end, but like the feelings that develop in that back and forth go to like a maximum of 80% of one book. This back and forth is going on for like 1,200 pages. I don't know, I'm just being a hater. So there's that. I mean, Farah was like kind of obtuse as well, but our homegirl Poppy is like way more obtuse. And it's like verged on like no, it went beyond frustrating. It was frustrating, verging on very annoying. I think that there's like way more to like that could be said about like the virginity and purity culture. Maybe I'll say it now. Maybe this will be like my tirade against that now. It's not really a conversation in the second book anymore, and I never really said anything in the first book. And I was telling my friend about it, and I was like trying to find words for like the maiden and this. Is it a purity culture? Is this like an obsession with virginity and that? And in some ways, yes, but I also think like what's happening with the maiden is like they want her to be completely isolated. I think it's more of like when you control people, when you can like when you have people under so much of control, she can't like fundamentally she is not asking, maybe she is asking questions, but I think they're assuming she's not going to ask questions and she's going to be the pawn that they need her to be. Like her role that like they actually need her to play, which is like the blood bag, unless there's more that like we're missing. They don't need her to be a virgin. They don't need her to like not have drank. That plays like no role in like what they actually need from her. It's just when you like create attachments to your physical world, the people around you, it's much harder to leave, and it's much harder to like to do her role. Like if they need her to leave and to basically die, it's much harder to do that, and you are probably more prone to questioning things if you are making attachments and like you're getting into trouble and you're having fun and you're having life and you're having experiences. You know what you're going to be giving up. So I think it's more of that than like a virginity thing. If you let Poppy just kind of do whatever she wants, then like she could have fallen in love, and then maybe she like runs away and like doesn't want to do her duty. So I think there's like potentially more about relationships than anything. However, these sentences are definitely cult-like, but there is still like when Poppy has sex for the first time in the first book, there's definitely this like she makes sex way more important than I personally feel like it needs to be. And like this question about like should you have sex and like how old should you be and like what's right or wrong is not necessarily the conversation I'm trying to have here. Or like 18 is too young or too old or just right. But what happens in the book is Poppy, or the author, really makes sex to be this forever life-changing experience. It creates this really big, pivotal, important, like groundbreaking, life-altering choice, and like makes sex being this like fundamentally like putting it on a pedestal kind of in like very much the same way, like make it to be like a really big deal. And Poppy is like grappling with those choices in this book and her opinion of that of sex. And I was like really personally conflicted about that because in reality this is the experience of many people who believe that this is like that sex is such an important choice. I think it should be a choice. Fundamentally it should be a choice. But it's such a groundbreaking, life-altering choice. And like I think women more than men grapple with that choice, and as well like virginity and like what it means is fundamentally different for men than for women because of society, not because necessarily of reality. I mean, virginity is a social construct. Like let's just be clear about that. And so it's like kind of nice to see maybe like your own thoughts or like your own personal experiences in Poppy's own thinking about like her virginity and sex. But at the same time, it also feels like the author is like putting her stamp of approval on like that type of view, as in like sex really is this big life-altering, groundbreaking choice. I think supports the like idea of like virginity being so important and having like your identity wrapped up in virginity. I think you could maybe argue that like she dismantles a little bit after, like kind of showing Poppy's experience, but like you don't get that critical self-reflection after like from Poppy like you do when she's considering that choice. And that's what I don't love. Like, we don't have to be like people's choices to have sex should be a choice, but it's not something that defines people. And ultimately, like our society, our current present day cultural moment, I'll say North America, is very much in like purity, and purity culture is very much entrenched in our current cultural moment, especially for men and or sorry, for women. I think that there's so much I could talk to about like who is protected and who is seen as valued in our moment, and like whose choices are criminalized and whose aren't, and like and when certain people get essayed or ard, their stories aren't believable, or they're not considered believable because of their I don't know, their sexuality. And we like teach young girls that like their value like is like they should feel some type of way about themselves because of the fact that they've had sex with people, and then the number of people that they've had sex with, which is also in some ways like not criminalizing but like shaming people for having pleasure. So let me know your thoughts. I'm gonna skip out on book number 3, at least for the time being, and we're not gonna we're gonna put that down. I don't know what I'm gonna read next, but I feel like I just need I don't know. I feel like maybe I should like step out of the fantasy realm or something. I don't know. I've just read like so many series back to back. I read 20 books in 21 days in May. So we're yeah, it's time for a break. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I need something else. If you have a recommendation for what I should read next, holla at your girl in the comments. Thanks for watching. Bye.